Good evening and welcome to episode 16 of the Jacksonian. As I am your host, yours truly, Jackson Johnson. And here I have with me is the host of Locked On Patriots and lead reporter for Fan Nation's Patriot Country, Mike Debate, as we will be going over a lot of really big topics on the New England Patriots. Don't worry, it's not all negative. There's a lot of positive aspects as well to this episode. How you doing, my good man?
Jackson, it's an honor to be here. Thanks so much for having me on tonight. Yeah, it's all interesting times in New England right now. A 2-8 record is not something New England has seen since 2000, Bill Belichick's first season as head coach of the New England Patriots. So a little uncharted territory, but hopefully I can enlighten some of your listeners as to what's going on in Foxborough and what we can expect in the coming days and weeks.
That is for sure. Like tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. I am now 4 years, a little over 4 years, as host of the Locked On Patriots podcast, which, of course, proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And, you can find Locked On Patriots free and available on all platforms: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Really honored to be a part of that network. That is a great network of extremely talented and knowledgeable hosts. But we also try to cater to the listener as much as possible with so many different varieties and shows. Just launched a new 24-hour, 7-day-a-week channel on YouTube, Locked On Sports Today. So if there's ever anything that you want to catch in the world of professional sports or collegiate sports, definitely check out that Locked On network as well. But in addition to the job that I do for Locked On and being host of the Locked On Patriots podcast, I'm also the lead beat writer for Patriots Country of SI's Fan Nation, and I've been as such for the last 2 years, actually about 2.5 now, believe it or not. So it's been a great experience there. Prior to that, I was the Patriots beat writer for a company called Full Press Coverage, which is an independent company. So this is now my fifth full season covering the New England Patriots. Prior to that, I was on the Chargers beat for 2 years, working remotely in a lot of that when I was pulling double duty covering the Patriots and the LA Chargers. Some of that out there on the beat as well. So a lot of background when it comes to the NFL, but definitely honored to be covering the team that I grew up idolizing. That's kind of the dream that every journalist has, to be able to cover a team that you grew up watching and you grew up reading about and rooting for as a fan. It's interesting when you get that opportunity, that chance. So that's kind of me in a nutshell in terms of how I got here into this position.
It's a very lovely story, man. I am loving it. It's gonna be a great show tonight. So I wanted to discuss to start things off. I want to talk a little bit about Matt Jones. Now, from
Mhm.
reports from I believe from the Boston Herald's Andrew Callahan, he says that Matt Jones has lost 80% of the locker room. What's your reaction to that?
First of all, Andrew's an excellent reporter. The job that he does for the Boston Herald is tremendous. So when he puts his name to a report, it's definitely something that people should be paying attention to. They should be looking at and reading with an objective mind. Um, I have not taken personal polls or anything of that nature, so I can't support for one way or another and say, oh, that 80% seems accurate to me or whatever. That's Andrew's his sources, and those are his motives that he's used. And basically, I mean, that's completely up to him and his report. But what I do look at when it comes to the New England Patriots is the reaction in the room when players are speaking about Mac Jones. And you look at how they're feeling from the podium, what they're saying in front of the lockers. A lot of what we've been hearing the last 2 or 3 weeks has been more introspective rather than overarching as a whole when it comes to the team. You got guys like David Andrews, who is the team captain, saying, we're going to support who's ever back there, taking snaps, being our quarterback. We've got enough to worry about fixing the offensive line. And a lot of other players are saying the same types of things. So it's very easy to look at this and say, okay, well, Max losing the locker room. There's not a whole lot of support. Is he losing the guys in the huddle? Those are questions that really only Mac knows and the team knows for sure. Now, we did see guys like Jelani Tavai go on WEEI on Thursday and say Mac knows that all 52 guys are behind him. We need to go out there and we need to put a united front out there. The players are saying the right thing, but if you're starting to hear rumblings in the background, it can lead to some dissent. And I think that right now is a question for the New England Patriots to answer during this bye week. Are they ready to rally around Mac Jones? Do they have the confidence in him to be able to lead this team for the rest of the season? That's really going to be where it's all about. So, my essential reaction to Andrew's report is I definitely take a whole lot of stock in it because Andrew is a very good reporter, but it's going to be how this team responds coming out of the bye that's going to determine whether or not he has indeed lost the locker room or whether those are feelings that are happening right now and there's a chance for this team to rebound. But there definitely is an erosion of confidence, I think, around the Patriots. Whether it's specific or not to Mac Jones, we're about to find out.
For certain, that is for sure. So I see that the other quarterbacks in the lineup are Bailey Zapp, Blake Cunningham, and Will Greer. Now I know last season they turned to Bailey Zapp a few times.
Mhm.
Will they turn to him again?
Well, that's the big question right now. Bailey Zappi came in for a couple of games last year when Mac Jones was hurt and he had the high ankle sprain and performed well. He performed with a lot of confidence, with a lot of poise, and led the team to two victories. And almost allowed them to pull an upset victory off in the game that he came in relief of Brian Hoyer when he went down with a head injury, and nearly took it to the Green Bay Packers, led by Aaron Rodgers at the time. So he's got a little bit of battle tested grit in his arsenal. The problem with Bailey Zappi is he hasn't shown that on the field this year. When he's gotten his opportunities to come in relief of Mac Jones, whether it be in a couple of blowout losses, one to the Dallas Cowboys, one to the New Orleans Saints, and then, of course, you're looking at coming in last week with a chance to essentially lead a game winning drive against the Indianapolis Colts. Bailey has looked suspect in terms of his command of the offense. He once again made a bad decision, just like Mac Jones did to end his tenure on the field last week. So the Patriots right now may be reticent to turn the ball over to Bailey Zappi and say, "Okay, you're ready to go. You're our guy now." There is an argument to be made about whether or not you want to see what he can do. Obviously, Mac Jones had a terrible game on Sunday against the Colts. A lot of people believe that was his swan song and that he will end up being benched. But at the same time, you also have to be careful because you know what you've got in Mac Jones. You don't necessarily know what you're going to get from Bailey Zappi, or if they wanted to go in a different direction and put Will Greer in the starting lineup. Will has an excellent collegiate resume. He's got a very strong arm, but is he capable of leading the Bill O'Brien offense? That's something that is still a matter of conjecture. And then you have Malik Cunningham, who came in the opening game of the preseason for the Patriots, led a very exciting drive down the field. Really, I think got Patriots fans excited as to what he could do. But the time since when he's had the opportunity to take the ball, hasn't been able to do that much with it. So because the dearth of talent behind Mac Jones has been suspect, you got to wonder whether or not the Patriots feel their best bet is still to put Mac Jones on the field. And honestly, Jackson, the evidence kind of weighs that out. Mac was the first team quarterback on Wednesday's practice, and it's looking like that's the direction that they're going to head in. But ultimately, we'll find out a lot more this week. If you start to see Bailey Zappi taking a lot more snaps with the first team offense, things could get interesting before the Pats' next game on the 26th of November against the Giants.
Oh yeah, I mean Super Bowl rematch. But, Giants haven't been exactly the greatest either this season. I mean, if you heard one of my phone calls, one of my buddies, Austin, shout out to um, we talked, and I was just kind of like, Giants are going to be going down because I mean, a lot of the wins they had last year were one position. They're going to go down.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is interesting to see where the Giants came from last year and Brian Daboll and all the excitement of having him in the building and kind of revamping what the Giants were capable of doing after a couple of years of really languishing among the teams, bottom tier. It really is interesting to see how they've regressed, and they've had a ton of injuries the same way the Patriots have. difficulties with quarterback leadership. So this is going to be a very interesting game between these two teams. Which are more committed to losing, which are more committed to winning? I think that's going to be the big storyline heading into this one. But yeah, two teams that have definitely underachieved when you look at the expectations that were put on both of them this year. A lot of disappointed Patriots fans and a lot of disappointed Giants fans right now.
That's for certain. And right now, I have the rest of the schedule pulled up. So they got the Chargers. Then there's the Amazon Prime game against the Steelers. But luckily, that'll be one of the games where the Steelers. Then there's the Monday night game against the Chiefs. Christmas Eve, NFL Network, Resurgent Broncos. Then on
Mhm,
New Year's Eve, got the Bills. And the season finale in Foxborough against the Jets. Now
mhm,
there's some positives from this season for the
mhm,
Patriots. Two of the wins were against division opponents, so they may be putting a little spoiler in the Bills' playoffs hopes, possibly with one of their wins against. They still got that winning streak against the Jets, and
mhm.
they continue it.
It's interesting, Jackson. You start to list the second half opponents that the Patriots have, the final 7 games on this schedule. And you start to realize just how much some of the losses that the Patriots have had piling up really do hurt their opportunity to make a strong run at the end of this season. Now, you mentioned the Chargers game. Justin Herbert is an excellent quarterback. That's a tough matchup for the Patriots defense, especially if they're going to be banged up a little in the secondary. That JC Jackson is going to want that game circled on his calendar. He's going to want to come in and have a big game against his former team. And I look for him to be highly motivated and have a real nose for the football in that game. So that's going to be one that I'm looking forward to. It's also going to be one I'm looking forward to because the Patriots are going to be wearing those sweet throwback reds that I love so much and so many Patriots fans do. But the other part of the schedule that you mentioned, the Bills, obviously, that is a very tough matchup for them. It always has been, but it's a game that they've won previously this season, or I should say, a team that they've won against previously this season, and a team that looks like can be had if the right game plan is enacted. If you keep Josh Allen inside the pocket and prevent him from rolling out, which is where he's at his best, that's a situation where the Patriots could theoretically steal a win there. You mentioned the Jets. And are they still going to be in playoff contention at this point? With the Bills starting to falter a little bit, now with the unfortunate news of Joe Burrow being out for the season, what does that mean for the Jets' opportunity to try to maybe leapfrog and get back into the wild card hunt? If they're in a position to win that game, is Aaron Rodgers taking snaps under center? I know a lot of people believe he will be back this season by his own admission. This is his own plan, according to several reports that are out there. He wants to come back from a torn Achilles. And it sounds amazing that we're even talking about this, that a quarterback who tore his Achilles in week 1 may be able to finish the season. But that's where we're at with Aaron right now. If the Patriots do have to face Aaron Rodgers, how good is he going to be? Is that field rust going to come back to haunt him? Patriots have had a lot of success against New York, but this is a team that when they're healthy and clicking on all cylinders, they're capable of providing the Patriots with a lot of problems. So I think it's a different ball game if Aaron Rodgers is under center as opposed to Zach Wilson, who the Pats have had very good success against. That's interesting because if it is Zach Wilson, I think the Patriots have a chance to win that game to close out the season. But if not, it's going to be a little bit of a tougher game. And then the question is, are the Patriots really helping themselves by losing that game or by winning that game? A lot is going to be determined by how everything else shakes out around them. But it just goes to show you how different the NFL can be. The swing of one pendulum in one game can have a ripple effect. And with the Patriots case, so many one score games that they had an opportunity to be in, you almost think of what if some of those breaks went their way, but unfortunately, the Patriots just haven't had the talent this year to capitalize on it, and that's why they are 2-8.
Yeah, but I have looked at the winning streak that the Patriots have had over the Jets. Now, the last time they lost to the Jets was in 2015, but the
Mm-hmm.
last time they lost to the Jets in Foxborough was in the 2011 AFC Divisional Playoffs with Rex Ryan.
That's Ryan.
And in the regular season, the last time was that 34-31 loss in the Brett Favre year.
Hmm.
But this year, when you guys beat the Jets, it was at New York, and season finales in Foxborough.
Hmm.
I'm wondering if the Jets can get the job done, or if the Patriots continue their winning ways against New York.
It's a possibility. I mean, that home cooking, especially at that time of year, always spelled success for the Patriots. January and especially December, November, like right around this time was where the Patriots really started to open up under the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era. This is where they showed what type of team they were. And generally, they used to go through the NFL like a gauntlet at this time of year. Those days are long since behind the Patriots. What they need to do is play their game week after week and develop a type of game plan that's going to allow them to have success against their immediate opponent. Against the Jets, again, you're dealing with a very strong defense. You're dealing with an offense that is properly predicated to win if they're getting proper quarterback play. If Zach Wilson is playing the way we've seen him play a couple of times this year, that game could be interesting whether Aaron Rodgers is in it or not. Zach Wilson has the capabilities of leading his team to victory. It's just the problems he's had against them, against the Patriots up until this point, have made these games a little bit easier than maybe they should have been in a lot of regards. But you also have to look at the way the Patriots have played at home this year. They do have one home victory with the Buffalo Bills, but they faltered at home as much as they've succeeded. So unfortunately, the home field advantage is not necessarily the advantage it has been in years past, but it's good for the Patriots if they want to come away with that victory to know that the game is in Foxborough as opposed to East Rutherford.
So I looked up the record of Bill Belichick with Tom Brady. He's 249-75. He has a 769 winning percentage. And I've looked at the winning percentage without Tom Brady. He's 82-98. Got a 456 winning percentage. For those that say, "Oh, well, Belichick can't get it done without Tom Brady," what's your take when you hear the naysayers give that line?
Well, you look at the statistics, and it does fuel the fire for people that want to give Tom all the credit and Bell none of the credit. Um, I always say virtue lies somewhere in the middle. And I think that these two are the best possible combination. They were the best at their time, and they were so well suited to utilize each other's strengths for the greater good of the team. And that's exactly what we saw in the 2+ decades of dominance that the New England Patriots had. We may never see that type of dominance from a team again regularly. I know the Chiefs are knocking on the door of that right now. They are the ones that have the best shot for it. But when you look at how the Belichick Brady era started in terms of Tom Brady getting, Drew Bledsoe getting injured and Tom Brady coming in, leading the team to victory, utilizing his teammates around him, not only to manage the game, but become the type of quarterback we all hoped that he would be and knew he could be. Winning 3 championships right off the bat, early success. Belichick and Brady were, I think, a very good, solid complement to each other. In those years, Belichick gets more of the credit because you're looking at Brady being more of a game manager type. You're looking at the defense is winning an awful lot of those games and coming up big in those moments. But Tom really deserves an awful lot of the credit there as well because not only did he manage the game, he made the plays and the throws and led his team when you needed him to do so. In the final part of the dynasty, where the Patriots won their last 3 championships, I think a lot of people look at Tom Brady as being more of the alpha in the room at that point because your team is down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, and Tom Brady leads you back by leading his team and inspiring his team to keep scoring and to keep going when most teams would have folded. You're looking at maybe the dearth of talent around him or things of that nature where he's elevating guys to play better than they were or than they could play. Obviously, he's got a Hall of Famer and Rob Gronkowski right next to him. You've got to give him an awful lot of credit in that. But let's not forget that Rob Gronkowski was actually, injured during that Super Bowl comeback. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at this team and what they're able to do. But I think the Brady Belichick era really was a compliment to both of these guys. And to give one more credit than the other, I think is doing a disservice to either side. Brady deserves all the credit he gets, but I think Bill deserves all the credit he gets as well. And I think that to take away from either side at this point is a little bit disingenuous. I think Bill deserves his credit, and I think he does prove that he can do the job with or without Tom Brady because of the way he was able to guide Brady when he was here.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when people say, "Oh, Belichick," "Oh, Brady had,"
Yeah.
because I mean, I always wonder, what if they never teamed up together?
Mm,
The it's not what you know; it's what you don't know that always worries
yeah.
you.
Of course. And the other side of that is what if they had split earlier than they did? What if it wasn't 2 decades of being together in two separate dynasties in a lot of ways, the early 2000s and then closing out last decade? I think there's a lot of credence to be said there. And look, Bill Belichick has forged his legacy. He's definitely punched his ticket to Canton. I don't think there's anybody that's going to argue that Bill Belichick is not one of the best X's and O's head coaches in NFL history, arguably the greatest. He'd get my vote. Right now in New England, maybe he wouldn't get a whole lot of votes, but you still have to remember what this guy has brought to this franchise and this organization. He brought a concept and a culture that really was cultivated so well by Tom Brady being the perfect guy to lead it at the right time. This was just the synergy of coach, quarterback, and owner. Let's not forget Robert Kraft's role in all this as well. That triumvirate was meant to come together, and it really was something magical. And Patriots fans will always remember those 20 seasons as being arguably the best time in Boston sports, definitely the best time in Patriots history.
Yeah, to your point, prior to the hiring of Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll was the last guy at the Patriots coach. And when
Mm-hmm.
Kraft fired him, Carroll gave him some powerful advice. The next coach you hire, let him call the shots.
Mm-hmm.
It's worked.
Yeah, it has worked. And again, I know Belichick has his detractors of people that say that he's a poor GM. There have been some questionable drafts, there have been some questionable decisions, but more times than not, Bill Belichick, and I don't know if he necessarily gets the amount of credit he deserves for making the right moves and bringing in the right players at the right time, the complementary players that really blossomed into players that maybe they weren't expected to be. I think a guy that just got inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame and Mike Vrabel is a perfect example of that. Someone who didn't click necessarily with the Steelers. He was someone that wasn't a part of their long-term plans, maybe even their short-term plans. And Belichick came in and saw something in him that allowed him to be one of their better defenders and really a pretty decent red zone weapon as well. He caught every time he was targeted, it was for a touchdown, and he caught it. So these types of guys that come in where Belichick does have the ability to pluck these guys out of, I don't want to say obscurity, but really identify their strengths and be able to bring them in. Wes Welker is another one that comes off the top of my head. I think he deserves more credit for that as GM, as someone that is very intricately involved in the players he knows can succeed in his system.
Yeah. To your point about the Bill Belichick detractors, there's been a lot of people calling for his head for
Mm,
him to get out, and there's some that say he should stay. Most notably, actor and comedian Bill Burr, where he went on the Rich Eisen show yesterday. He was basically calling the people that were calling for Belichick's head full brats. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm never going to tell a fan that they don't have a right to feel the way they feel. Fans invest their time, their heart. So a lot of times they invest their money into the team. So they have a right to cheer or boo or feel however they want to feel. But I will say this about Bill Belichick, and I've said this several times on Locked On Patriots over the last couple of weeks. You know what you're getting in Bill. You know you're getting someone that is set in his ways. I think he adapts a little more to the modern game than people give him credit for. Take a look at some of the play calling that you'll see, and you'll see that Bill Belichick has adapted his style throughout the years. You're going to get someone that is, you know, I don't want to say questionable when it comes to draft history, but there have been times where he's pulled the trigger on players and it necessarily hasn't worked out the way they hoped. There have been some that have come through that have been excellent draft picks. We just talked about one in Rob Gronkowski. Guys like Christian Barmore look like they're trying to push that forward. Christian Gonzalez this year, I think, is someone that's going to be a top level corner in this league for years to come. Those are Bill Belichick selections as well. Let's not forget Tom Brady in the sixth round was a pretty good pick as well. His first
Whether they
overall pick.
know.
Yeah, exactly. So these guys, give it their all in terms of building a team. So you're getting that with Bill Belichick, and you also know you're getting someone who's seen everything and done everything on a football field. There's nothing Bill Belichick is going to see that's going to confuse him when it comes to the game of football. The argument is that maybe the game has passed him by. Maybe the Patriots need a more offensive minded coach, someone that can come in and evaluate the type of modern talent that need to be here in order to win. We've heard a number of names mentioned as potential successors, and some of these guys are very talented, very good coaches. But who brings you the cachet? Who brings you the reputation? And who also brings you the best chance to win? I think ultimately, Jackson, that's really what this boils down to. Who does it better than Bill Belichick? That's the main question. And if you can't come up with a solid answer, I think you have to give it its just due and say, okay, well, the Patriots have a decision to make at the end of the year and not necessarily say, you know what, we got to fire him, get him out of there right now. I think that's a knee jerk reaction and an emotional reaction. The Patriots' reaction is going to be much more level headed and much more measured. And I think Bill Belichick has earned that right with the success he's built up here in New England. He's earned the right to finish this season and then have Robert Kraft evaluate whether or not he wants to move forward. Bill's going to have to evaluate whether or not he wants to move forward. I think that's also a missed point here as well. Everybody's talking about Bill Belichick being jettisoned or being fired. There may come a time at the end of the season where Bill Belichick says, you know what, I've had it. I think I'm done, whether that means retirement or moving on to another location. That's also a possibility as well. But for those calling for Bill Belichick's head, I'm not going to call them spoiled, but I will just say consider the alternative, and the alternative may not be as bright as you think it is.
Well, to your point about where Bill Belichick may go someplace, I know that Dan Orlovsky went on the Pat McAfee show saying that he could take over as a head coach and GM for a different NFL team. And I know that there's a source, and this is something I found from Dolph Kleeman on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Myers thinks that he's got like a source telling him that Belichick is the favorite to go to the Chargers if anything's happening to Haley Wick. If the Chargers are saying getting calls like saying Belichick wants to this is retirement, let's get rid of Staley.
Well, in terms of landing spots, I mean, you really would be hard pressed to say that the Chargers wouldn't be an appealing job to take. Justin Herbert is one of the most talented young quarterbacks in the league. If you continue to surround him with the talent that the Chargers have, whether it be Keenan Allen as a veteran, or whether it be Mike Williams, or whether it be Quentin Johnston, who I don't think has really rounded into form yet, but there's a solid NFL receiver there that can really do some damage. Offensively, that team already has the pieces in place to be able to compete. On the defensive side of the ball, Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack is one solid 1-2 punch. This is where Bill Belichick really makes his bones, so to speak, and be a defensive minded coach coming in, coaching those guys. Derwin James at the safety position. There's a lot of talent on both sides of the ball in Los Angeles. It's great climate. It's a great opportunity, and it's a fan base right now that really needs something to rally around because the Rams are still considered, I think, Los Angeles's team. Bill Belichick comes in there, and all of a sudden, Chargers are going to start to rival the Rams, I think, for home field. Really make SoFi an advantage for the Chargers as opposed to what it is for the Rams, where you see a lot of Rams fans in there each week challenging and cheering on their team. You don't see that for the Chargers so much. It's a lot of out of towners coming in and turning that into a pseudo home stadium. Bill Belichick's presence can absolutely do it. But again, there are, impediments to to doing that. In order for Belichick to go there, the Patriots would have to facilitate a trade. He is under contract through the 2024 season. So would the Patriots consider moving him to the Chargers? Can the Chargers give the Patriots the type of draft capital that they're going to require in return? These are all questions that need to be worked out. We're hearing some chatter about the Washington Commanders the last couple of days, Jackson. That's another rumor that's out there. Will they pony up, because you know that they're going to want a big splash type coach to go with their new ownership group and really kind of steer this franchise back in the right direction? Bill Belichick, always big history buff, big lover of things that are, Americana, and go to the nation's capital. That's pretty close. So there's a lot of different areas where Belichick could succeed, but I would think if he's going to leave New England, the Chargers would be at the top of the list because of the talent they have in that locker room.
You just said something about Americana. Every time I'm thinking of Americana, it's like, oh, that's that Jeopardy category on Jeopardy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to be able to mix in a little Jeopardy anytime you're talking football.
That's for sure. I mean, some of the Jeopardy contestants, they most definitely need it. Good grief. I mean, that one where nobody got an answer. Oh, good grief. Oh, no.
Yeah, feels you with that hollow feeling when no one can get that. You feel sorry for them on screen, but it is funny stuff.
Oh, man. I think we had like a repeat of that happening a few weeks back, and Ken Jennings is just kind of like, oh, man, I know how Alex.
Absolutely. Ken does a great job. I enjoyed Mayim in that role as well, and I definitely miss Alex. There's no question about it. He was a true legend, really a true legend.
That
Um,
happened when I found out the news of Alex Trebek. I was like, I wanted
mm,
this.
yeah,
I about broke down, and it was like I made that promise to myself that if it got to the point where it was the last time Alex Trebek was hosting Jeopardy, I would make sure I got to watch it with I don't know grandmother on mom's side.
right.
I was sad that we didn't, but I was glad that we got to watch the greatest of all time tournament. In and Brad Rutter, and I was happy we got to watch that. But when I
Yeah,
saw like the promo of Trebek, where it looked like he had like the bad,
yeah. Yeah, it's true. It really is, and it's so difficult when you see someone that you care about, especially. I mean, and I'm not equating this to watching the equivalent of a family member or something like that, but when you become a fan of a show, they become such a part of your life, and it really is almost like you have a relationship, with this person, and you have an interactual friendship, even though it's a virtual one. You feel like you're watching some familiarity, and to watch them go through difficulties, it really is tough. And yeah, the Jeopardy definitely misses him. I mean, they're carrying on in his honor, and I think they're doing an admirable and very good job carrying on with that show. But you're always going to miss Alex, especially if you were used to seeing him each and every night. It's a tough adjustment, without question.
I know Johnny Gilbert.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean that's a relationship that went on for greater than, again, we're looking at almost 3 decades, of these
What is
guys,
it?
really working, together, and developing that not only working relationship, but there really becomes a friendship there, and almost a familial type relationship. And when you lose that, it's so difficult.
That is for it was pretty big, but I know that Brad Rutter, he's definitely pretty happy with his Eagles so far.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles look like, again, a team to be reckoned with this year, and that they're going to be playing for a lot more than pride coming down the stretch. It's going to be interesting to see how the balance of power now shifts in the NFL. The Burrow injury is something that just completely continues to dance around in my head all day long, and I feel so bad for Joe, and the Bengals right now. But do they have enough in the arsenal to be able to get that next man up and go after it and continue to contend, or how does this change, the balance? Because they were really starting to come on and find their rhythm. Going to be really interesting to see how both conferences shake out this year, because I don't think there's a clear-cut dominant team on either side of the fence right now. A number of teams can come in and play solid Super Bowl contending capable football. I'm really looking forward to the second half of the season. Obviously, Patriots fans aren't, but I am.
Well, to your point about who would be the coaching candidates, that's my next question. Who would be the Nets coach if the conversation where
Mm.
Bill Belichick's like he's resigning or he's hiring or he's fired? I wonder who would be the Nets New England if that were to happen.
Well, the most common names that are being floated around right now, Jackson, is in terms of who could come in and succeed Bill Belichick. We'll start with the obvious, right on the roster right now, right on the coaching roster, that is, and that's Gerard Mayo. Coming in as the linebackers coach and being the guy that really takes advantage of the inside, and guys that play for him and that love playing for him, like Juwan Bentley, who is a team captain now, thanks to, I think, in part to the insight that he receives from Gerard every day. All the indications are, and I've spoken to him several times, and so have several of my colleagues in the media. You get that command presence from him, someone who is a player's coach. He's going to listen to his players. He's going to cultivate what they want, but ultimately, he also has that alpha presence that's going to allow him to be the head guy in the room and command the room and command the respect the way players need to respect the coach. So he's a favorite of the Crafts. You know that Gerard is a fan favorite in New England for the time that he spent here on the field, and he's been a tremendous coach and continues to be on those lists. Tom Pelissero obviously published his list of coaching candidates that have the ability to be head coaches this year, and Gerard Mayo has been on that for the last 2 or 3 years. So he's someone that I think will get a big time look from the New England Patriots, and you wouldn't have to go that far to be able to get him in here. He's already on that roster. One of the other guys that continues to be mentioned is Mike Vrabel. And obviously, Mike has a large pedigree here in New England because of the time he spent on the field. Mentioned Mike earlier as someone who was just inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Again, someone who has a close relationship with the Crafts, knows what it takes to win in New England. Can his game translate here? Now, Mike is someone that is under contract with the Titans. So if the Patriots are going to jettison or let go of Bill Belichick, they would then have to facilitate a deal with the Titans to bring Mike here. I'm not necessarily sure that the capital involved in both of those trades could simultaneously work. That's not to say they couldn't, folks, but there are complications that may prevent that. So getting Mike Vrabel in is not necessarily the slam dunk that a lot of Patriots fans are thinking. So if those two names are off the board, if Gerard Mayo for any reason decides to coach elsewhere, or if the Patriots want to retain him as a coordinator, because don't forget, Gerard has not held the coordinator title here in New England yet. Where do they go? If they go outside the organization, a lot of people are talking about Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator over in
Oh, he's
Detroit.
a
And
great
look,
one.
this guy is a great candidate. He's coached quarterbacks, receivers, tight ends before he became Detroit's offensive coordinator last season. And I think he's well equipped to be able to run not only his own offense, but his own show on both sides of the ball. You're hearing an awful lot of NFL insiders say a lot of great things about him. Um, you know, this guy could be there for the taking. And if the Patriots could find a way to be able to pry him away, this could be one to watch as well. The only issue is there, no head coaching experience. How dedicated are the Patriots to rebuilding and rebuilding quickly? Because under a Ben Johnson, I think you're going to need 2 to 3 years of, I don't want to say a latent period, but you're going to need 2 to 3 years of a rebuilding period to completely mold this team in his image. He's got the youth and he's got the vitality, but the question is whether or not the Patriots are patient enough to be able to give Ben the time that he needs. And can they work out a deal with him? Because he's going to have several other suitors that are not New England, he may have another option out there that might be a brighter future or a brighter immediate future. So these are all things to take under consideration. But those are the three names that I'd be watching right now if I were a Patriots fan.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking for a head coach, Ben Johnson's definitely my candidate. It's a good thing that the Lions held on to,
Mm, absolutely.
because I mean, I'm loving the seasons the Lions are having. But
Right.
what are the changes that the Patriots need to make for the rest of the 2023 season for the future? And are we going to see Caleb Williams get a look by the Patriots?
Well, I tell you, I'll answer the question about what needs to be changed first, because I think it's a little bit easier in terms of where the Patriots need to go and why I do believe they will give a serious look to Caleb Williams, or at least they should. But you look at what the Patriots need to do, I think they need to do a much better job of establishing the run early. We've seen that the last couple of games. I know the outcome of the Germany game was not what Pats fans wanted to see, a 10-6 loss, but the one thing that I really loved about the way they played in that game was establishing the run and utilizing Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott, giving them that 1-2 combination that allowed them to advance the ball on the ground. Advancing the ball on the ground, Jackson, is so paramount for this team. It opens up so much. It opens up play action passes. It allows Mac Jones to hit his targets and put them in position to be able to get yards after the catch. When the run is properly utilized, the Patriots can run an offense that can put points on the board. They're not going to rival some of the top offenses in the league, but they are going to be able to at least score more than what they have. Two things need to happen in that case. They need to get better run blocking from the offensive line. The line has done a decent job blocking for the run. They've really been difficult in pass protection. We'll get into that, I'm sure, in a little bit. But they need to be able to do that. And also, you need to start getting quicker decision making out of the quarterback position. And that is something that the coordinators need to work with Mac Jones and allow him to be able to utilize his runners early and put these guys in position to be able to make plays. If those two things are done, then I think you can start to advance and move forward and maybe give yourself a more competitive chance to win each of these games that you're in. The other thing that they need to do, and this is absolutely across the board, this goes for offense, defense, and special teams, is they need to stop these self inflicted wounds. These have been the problem for the Patriots all season long. We're seeing missed plays, missed opportunities, egregious penalties. Penalties that you're not used to seeing the Patriots get flagged for. They need to shore this up. They need to be a much more disciplined team, and they need to be smarter in the way they execute. That's going to be easier said than done because a lot of times these things can become quicksandish. That's a word I like to use. And my good friend Mark Schofield was on the show yesterday and Locked On Patriots, used that a couple of times. When you start to make mistakes, they can build up and they can counter and they can become really difficult when those 1, 2 mistakes start going into and snowballing into 3, 4, 5. That's where you have a lot of problems. So those are the things. If I'm the New England Patriots, I want to shore up. I want to start using the run. I want to start using, play action, and I want to start using that to the Patriots' advantage in order to be able to win. And of course, you need to stop these self-inflicted wounds. Those are really, I think, two things that have to happen if the Pats want to have any success. You asked about Caleb Williams. um, this is a kid with a very vast skill set. And obviously, he is the gem of what Patriots fans would love to see here in New England. Watching film on him, he reminds me a lot of Josh Allen. I think, and I say that in a good way, folks. I know Josh had a rough game the other night, and we'll put that one behind him. But Caleb is the type of quarterback that really is at his best when he's off script. When he's rolling outside the pocket, a lot of quarterbacks have a tendency to panic. They really have slow decision making. We're seeing that now with Mac Jones. I think some of that is because of improper coaching and improper ability of his offensive line to protect him. We'll get back to that in a moment. But this is a kid that can turn those moments into something special. And that's something that's a unique talent in a quarterback. Great upper body. I think a stronger arm than a lot of people are giving him credit for. And this kid in the RPO is something special to watch. So if I'm the Patriots and I'm in a position where I feel that I can draft him, you have to give him a look. I don't think you can afford to say we like what we've got in the room, or we're going to go after a veteran, or we're going to go after something different with a first round pick and maybe get a quarterback in the next level. If you've made the decision and committed yourself to Mac Jones not being the answer, you've got to give a look at Caleb Williams because I really like this kid's skill set.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be great seeing who he's gonna get drafted by.
Mm,
We don't.
absolutely.
I just hope he doesn't go to the retirement home of the NFL Cardinals.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, Arizona is looking to kind of shake that stigma of being where quarterbacks, first round talent type quarterbacks go to languish. They're going to be very motivated to change that. So, hey, who knows? Maybe Caleb Williams is the guy they've been looking for and the guy that finally sticks. I know the Jets had that stigma on their shoulders for a number of years and really haven't done much to shake it the last few drafts, but they went out and got Aaron Rodgers. So unfortunately, there was an injury there that prevented that from coming to fruition. But we'll see what the rest of the season has in store for that. But yeah, it will be interesting to see where Caleb ends up, and really an opportunity to see where Drake May ends up as well. I mean, he's considered the number 1A quarterback in this draft as well. He's already expressed interest in New England. Do the Patriots cultivate that if Caleb is not there on the board? But given the choice, if both of them are there and the Patriots have their choice, I still think Caleb Williams translates so well into the NFL. Drake will as well, but this kid can really be something special.
Now, I was looking at some of the stats on offense for the Patriots, and they're not looking too good. Um, is Bill O'Brien in any trouble in any way, or does he get that vote of confidence?
It's tough to say that Bill would be in trouble. I mean, it really depends on what's going to happen with Bill Belichick and that whole thing with the coaching staff. I know that Bill O'Brien has an awful lot of personal capital built up with the Crafts. That's basically a fancy way of me saying the Crafts like Bill O'Brien an awful lot. They were instrumental in bringing him into New England. Now, that's not to say that it was their decision to hire him. I've heard that said a couple of times. I can tell you from sources that I've talked to close to the team, Bill Belichick was 100% on board with bringing in Bill. This was not a decision forced upon him. But Bill O'Brien in one season is not going to automatically turn around an offense that was really heavily damaged by the influence of Matt Patricia and Joe Judge last year. This team needs to relearn how to be an NFL offense. And because of the a lot of injuries that they've had in the offensive line. And because of some of the slow development that you've had with the receivers, and maybe I think underperformance from some of the tight ends, they haven't had the opportunity to put it all together. I think Bill O'Brien will be given an opportunity to continue on here if he wants it. Now, there are a lot of college jobs that are open up, Jackson. I know you do a lot of work with our collegiate channels on Locked On. You never know if Bill may get the itch to return to the college game and say, hey, you know what? Being an OC here in New England is pretty good, but I'm getting my share of dirt on my uniform. I kind of liked it better when I was a college coach. He may have his opportunities there as well. So I keep my eye out for Bill O'Brien getting collegiate offers, but I don't see him getting a head coaching offer in the NFL next year. And if that be the case and Bill wants to stay in the NFL, I think the best opportunity for him to showcase what he can do is right here in New England. So I don't think he's going anywhere.
Just don't make him into a general manager, because I got a feeling the Houston Texans tell us all about that. Yeah, what was it like having, you know, Bill O'Brien as the general manager?
Yeah, Houston's done pretty well for themselves with Nick Casario, another former Patriot. So yeah, I think they're pretty happy with C.J. Stroud and the job that they did in that draft. Big things coming out of Houston pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving what Stroud's bringing. It's a ballroom blitz. I mean, who knows? Maybe we could see them get to the AFC title game for the first time ever in franchise history one of these.
It's a possibility. I tell you, with the way that team is constructed and the weapons around, you continue to build. Obviously, Stroud is the guy that you're going to build around. He's a franchise quarterback. Um, I love Derek Stingley as a cornerback. I know he's had his injury history, and there've been some questions, but I still believe in this kid, and I think he's going to be someone in that secondary that they can really build around. I like what they're doing in Houston, and as always, I love seeing John Mechie perform. I really love seeing him back, and hopefully he'll continue to remain healthy and be able to blossom into the player we all think he's going to be. A lot to like over in Houston right now, and it really all starts with CJ, who continues to take that franchise to levels that we didn't think we'd see it taken to this season.
Oh man, I'm loving the job that D'Amico Ryan.
He's done a tremendous job, really. I think a coach of the year candidate, in my opinion, without question. Whether he'll win it or not, I think there's still a lot of games to be played. But if he's not in the consideration and he's not in the conversations that you're having right now, folks, give the Texans a second look and give D'Amico a real second and third look. This guy's done a tremendous job with this team. Deserves an awful lot of credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, as a Titans fan, I got a feeling it's just gonna get rougher for the Titans. They're gonna be dealing with the Jaguars and Texans, taking turns getting out that belt.
Oh yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah, and you know what? And again, I mean, there's always an eye on the Titans here in New England because of the Mike Vrabel connection, and then of course, DeAndre Hopkins going over there. So there was always a lot that needed to be done there. But good stuff all the way around, and both teams I think can really find a little bit of, I don't know, maybe a little bit of synergy this year in some of the struggles that they've had. Proud franchises that really need to rebound in 2024.
There's gonna be a lot of teams that got to rebound. But you did say you talked a little bit about the protection Patriots work on. What do they need to do to?
Well, unfortunately, there is no quick fix for that. What they need to do is get a combination on that offensive line to protect Mac Jones that's going to work. Now, I think the move to have Michael Waynu take over the right tackle position has been an excellent move by the Pats. Maybe their best move on the offensive line this season. But Trent Brown's been dinged up the last couple of weeks. He has not. He did not practice this past Wednesday. Did not make the trip with the team to Germany to play against the Colts. If Trent's injury is more long term than short term, that could be a problem because now you've taken the problems that you had on the right side of the tackle position and you move them over to the blind side. And that's something that New England really is going to need to address one way or another. They have to get better in that area. They have to give Mac Jones protection. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to give them any type of, productivity out of the quarterback position. And really, that's true of anybody. If they choose to put Bailey Zappi in, or if they choose Will Greer or Malik Cunningham, that blind side needs to be protected. And if it's not, that's a big problem for New England. For Darian Lowe, I think has played as well as he possibly can, but he's not the answer as a starter at that level. You need someone like Trent Brown on the opposite side to be able to put him and Michael Waynu at both tackle positions. Then it's going to allow guys like the rookie City So and Cole Strange to play solid complementary football from the guard position, and you're going to get good leadership out of David Andrews. So if unfortunately Trent is going down, Connor McDermott is someone to also watch as well. He's been someone the Patriots have liked, but he's banged up as well. It's tough times for the New England Patriots offensive line, and they may not have an easy fix in line for it. If it's going to be Verdarian Lowe, that's someone that I think is a liability. A name to watch is Riley Reef. Riley Reef returned to practice on Wednesday. His 21-day window is open now, folks, for him to come back and try to, get back on the field from injured reserve. If he's back in the lineup, that could mean, something decent for the New England Patriots. But still, you're you're looking at I think a little bit of a dearth of talent there when you go from Trent Brown to Riley Reef. But Riley is a solid veteran, and if there's anybody that could take on the role, I think he's the guy to do it.
Well, I will say though, even though it seems like negative days right now in New England, the only way to go, stop.
Absolutely. That is the one good thing about where the Patriots are right now. They really have nowhere to go but up. If they continue to be where they are, they're unfortunately, wading through the last place wreckage in the AFC and in their own division right now. But if they can climb a little bit, things could get interesting here. Big question on everybody's mind with the Patriots, though, is do they really want to progress? Do they want to have maybe a dismal finish to this season, knowing that it's not going anywhere to help their draft capital next year? Going to be very interesting to see how the Pats come out of this bye week. I think you're going to learn a lot about this team, how they're coached, and essentially a lot about the guys in that locker room by how they play in these first couple of games out of the bye week. That's going to be a very telltale experience for the New England Patriots all the way around.
It will be for sure. I'm looking forward to see what happens in that Patriots Giants matchup next Sunday. Thoughts? Well,
Abs-
depending on the location. Yeah, why 2023, 2000. Good grief, the
Agreed.
difference.
Agreed. Absolutely. More on demand for the teams that you know and love. I completely agree with that, Jackson. You're right on the money.
Like they should do like some of the CBS games. They should put them on like the Turner networks
Hmm.
and like put the awful game on Sports Net and put
Yeah.
like the Fox game, Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2. Yeah, put the bad game on Fox Business. Put that awful NFC. It's not good.
Yeah, things could get interesting if they tried to infringe upon Fox business. I think that could be fun to watch. So,
Well,
yeah,
they
you
got
know what? You make some interesting points.
nothing interesting on Sunday afternoon. So let's add something in.
Yeah, Sundays were made for football, right, Jackson?
Exactly. Saturdays, Sundays, Thursday nights, and Friday nights. That's how and Monday
Absolutely.
night.
Don't forget Monday night. I was going to say Monday nighters are still there as well.
Oh, I
So, yep.
love Monday.
Yeah,
Those are always pretty busy nights for me. Make sure.
definitely. Absolutely. We love to hear it.
That is for sure. And we end that on a high note for especially for Patriots Nation for sure. And you told the good fans of this show where they can find you, like on the Locked On Patriot. And you told everybody where they can find you on Fan Nation's Patriots Country and on Sports Illustrated Fan Nation. But for where else they want to like talk with you about, Belichick or Tom Brady, or even like your favorite Bill Burr moment, they find
Absolutely. Well, you guys, you can reach out to me anytime on X, the Bird app, Twitter, however you want to refer to it as these days, MDABATE NFL. You can reach out to the Locked On Patriots show at LO_Patriots, or you can reach out to Patriots Country of Sports Illustrated at Pats Country FN. I'm also on Threads, Mike Debate _NFL. For those of you that are thready and are going in that direction, I have an Instagram account as well that I don't use as much as I should, but I will be getting more active there as well. So reach out to me on any social media platform. I'm always happy and always eager to speak with fans in that regard. So thank you so much for having me on today, Jackson. This was a blast, and you do a great job with this show. Keep grinding, my friend. Always an honor and always a privilege.
thank you for coming on. And as I said, I gave my word. I like to make sure this show wasn't going to be all negatives, especially for Patriots Nation. I made sure there's going to be some positive.
Well, thank you. And I hope I was able to provide at least a couple of positives in that area for Pats Nation. It's not all doom and gloom, folks. Remember, this is still a very proud franchise, and this team needs your support now more than ever. So if you consider yourself a Patriots fan, remember that and continue to support this team, win, lose, or draw, no matter what, because the team is nothing without the fans, and we all appreciate you.
Well, and if you like this show and you like other shows just like this one, like, comment, subscribe to at Jackson Johnson 97 here on YouTube. As I'm trying to get the 500 subs, doing my best. I'm getting there. And until next time, stay around, stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out.